from Ukraine and Russia to the Hamas-Israel situation. I genuinely think he wants to foster some sort of quote-unquote peace. This is going to be great for his legacy. I don't think he's on board with Netanyahu. I believe this was a rogue move by Netanyahu. I think the Iranians are not stupid. Israel's not going to annihilate their sort of... I don't even trust their intelligence, so this notion that they're proliferating towards a nuclear, or they're trying to gain nuclear weapons. I mean, they've been saying this for 10 years, and they say, oh, they're 6 months away. They've been saying this for the last 8 years. So at what point do we, sort of doubt what the IDF and Israel intelligence are saying? So, again, this is not about right or wrong, it's about interest, right? And what we do in the media, we'll try to create a moral compass about right or wrong, and you're falling for that right now, all right? This is about interest, all right? No, I agree, but what I'm saying, so why didn't Trump go to Israel? That's unprecedented when he was in the Middle East. What else did he do? He had significant arms deals and other deals with Saudi Arabia, the Qataris, and so forth. So
what is he doing with Columbia, Dean?
With Columbia?
Right, Columbia University. Are you not aware that a few days ago the Department of Education literally threatened to take away the accreditation of Columbia University? And do you want to know why? Because they refused. Yes. So what is Trump doing here? There's no reason to go visit Netanyahu when you're literally on the phone with him every day. You know the reason that he's also going against Harvard? Because of the anti-Semitism. So
if I could finish. Oh yeah, let him land. No, because hold on, Dean.
Well, you said 2 minutes.
Hold on. Let Dean land, and then it's on. Because I wanted to pass it to my brother. He's an expert in geopolitics. Okay. And then I'll pass it to Congressman John Kitover. I think he's a Republican. What's up, brother? How you doing? All right, Dean, continue. Yeah, those things are superficial. There's no meat on those bones. He's throwing crumbs to various constituents. When you're talking about geopolitical sort of maneuvers and the significance of that, Trump not going to Israel or meeting with Netanyahu when he did a Middle East tour, you're out of your mind if you don't think there's some significant political implications to that. Again, working directly with Hamas. Again, him literally saying, I'm in dialogue with Iran concerning some sort of nuclear deal. He wants an agreement, right? Netanyahu is operating rogue, as he does, and he's trying to throw a splinter in that because he doesn't want an agreement with Iran. He wants a pretext to go to war with Iran and to throw the Middle East into further chaos. I land. All right. Vicky, you want to respond? If not, we go back to the queue.
No, I'll just respond really quickly. To say that Netanyahu does anything rogue when this man literally orchestrated the biggest save in geopolitics, because a lot of us may not remember, they were going to put his ass in jail. Netanyahu was on trial, right, for doing some icky shit. And then, surprisingly, and of course my heart goes out to all of those people that were killed, we have Hamas on the end of decades back and forth, that was somehow, when Israel controlled every single thing about Gaza, they were able to get in all of these terrible, terrible things and do a lot of harm to this festival where there were also Americans. Golly gee willikers. And somehow Netanyahu avoided a criminal trial and everything was kind of put on hold. So for you to say that Netanyahu is rogue is like saying that Putin is rogue. Excuse me? That man is a tactical strategist. He always has been, which is why still, after all of these centuries, the United States gives money to Israel, despite there being up-and-coming new countries in the Middle East that we can absolutely substantiate to get our information. So if you think that man with ties to Kushner and Trump is doing anything without the full 10,000% support of the United States military, funding, Congress, and president, you have another thing coming. U.S. presidents do not attack Ivy League institutions such as Columbia because they're quote-unquote being accused of being anti-Semitic, right? Maybe that happens in your country of origin, but it's never happened in the United States. I land.
So, I'll be quick. What I'm saying to you is Trump has allegiance to Israel. Israel. He has allegiance to a Jewish constituency in this country. But he understands the red line. Netanyahu's going rogue because he's been cut out of various dealings. He doesn't like that. He wants to throw a firecracker into things. This is quite clear. We're talking about Donald J. Trump. When has he ever been bashful, not taking credit about something? Why is he literally saying the U.S. didn't support this? Why would Donald Trump say that of all people? He doesn't play politics, right? This is a man that stands on his square. Why is he denying any sort of cooperation with this? Riddle me that. I actually believe him this time. I like it.
You still think Trump is in charge, making all of these decisions? The man who thought that origins was pronounced orange and didn't know what the word meant. Bless your little heart, Dean. Bless your heart.
All right, appreciate y'all. That was good. All right,
Yes.
D. Gray.
Can you hear me?
Yes, D. Gray, Israel. Give me last man. Yes, D. Gray, Congress, and then Ambassador.
I think what Dean actually said had some valid points, but I will say this: presidents can say that they have no involvement, but it doesn't abstain the administration or parts of the intelligence community, assets, programs, projects from supporting or even adhering. Anthony Blinken, counter to what some people might not have known, actually served in the Biden administration and also had some affiliation and ties to the state of Israel. The Biden administration said
after 9/11,
they had members of their cabinet
I saw Secretary Rumsfeld
saying the opposite in some
and
cases.
Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went,
Supported. And again, we know presidents lie, but to the point that he said, he has an interest that, regardless of what Netanyahu may be trying to do, he still supports Israel. But he has an interest on trying to be the president that brings about peace. I don't agree with it, but it's something that I think he's trying to do. Cutting off Netanyahu and trying to negotiate directly with Hamas, or even in some cases with an interested ally, in Witkoff to be the mediator of conflict when it's dealing with the Russians, dealing with Hamas, with Israel. I think he is trying. Now, he is right where Bibi Netanyahu is, to some cases, an animal that is cornered and is willing to do just about anything and everything. It doesn't necessarily mean that some parts of the administration did not know. I think that this is also a little bit odd. There was a leak that came out the last couple of days and even today morning that the IRGC and some of the Iranian intelligence said that they obtained documents saying that Israel was helping a European country, we don't know which one just yet, or we don't know if this leak is true, obtain a nuclear weapon. That same leak also today disclosed that the head of this IAEA is in some cases affiliated with Assad.
just sellers, some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. One of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you gotta come in and talk to me." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No, he says, you made the decision we're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq." He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda?" He said, "No." He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, Kitover just picked up his favorite. He said, "I just got this down from upstairs from the Secretary of Defense office today." And he said, "It's a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years. Starting with Iraq, and Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Gulf states and monarchies.
The truth is about the Middle East has had no oil there,
supply chains,
all like Africa.
is written out.
Nobody is threatening to intervene or to do this opposition problems and asking for treatment. It's not Saudi Arabia, and there's no question that the presence of patrol is smart right now involvement. Whether that was these specific.
Is it me or did he go out?
Oh, maybe he had to talk to the baby.
Problematic, and I do think that Trump is.
Hold on, you go back like 30 seconds, you cut out.
30 seconds? That nigga, he's
Like
like
10 seconds. Okay,
Sorry. I do think what Dean said is right. Because even if you listen on some of the cables in regards to the situation with Russia and Ukraine, the Russian government is trying to give Trump a quote-unquote political win. Because they understand that's within its interest, even if it's the best of a bad deal. So to some degree, if one takes that pattern, I do trust what Dean said, in which he's trying, and BB understands that, which is why, again, he's decided to go rogue. Because, again, if Iran does retaliate extensively, the United States and those other monarchies within the region will go in support with whatever retaliation that Israel and the U.S. then does there. But we have to wait and see. I don't think BB did this with Trump knowing, but it doesn't mean parts of the administration, the intelligence community, did not know. Someone always knows and supports, and we just have to wait for the information to come out.
That was good. Shout out to you. All right, shout out to my boy D Gray, man. That's my South African brother. All right, let's pass it.
Wait, I have a quick conspiracy theory, Lou.
Hold on, because I was gonna get my what's crazy. So, y'all remember recently, right? Because I think I'm not saying that people know in America. I do think shit be happening for a reason. So like, they've been trying to create a bill called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which is a dope. I think Black Americans get credit. So it was passed May 1st, 2024, 320 to 91 vote. It proposed to amend Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act to include the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism, and which is like, so they definitions basically like traditional anti-Semitic hatred, Holocaust denial, Jewish conspiracy theories, some form of anti-Zionism or criticism of Israel. But they want to enforce it at schools, colleges, losing federal.
Doug.
Moving
on to other news, the United States has ordered non-essential employees to leave its embassy in the Iraqi capital, Baghdad.
Happening. Y'all think they kind of knew this was happening, was going to happen all along? That's why they kind of put these parameters in place as far as the travel ban on majority Muslim countries. Well, not majority Muslim countries, but the country that they put the travel ban on was majority Muslim. So do y'all think this correlates or not? So y'all think that is this like they just like they knew about
it's strategic.
That's what I'm asking. Alright, hold on, before you go, it's on Congress and then it's on Congress. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm running in Illinois. I'm a congressman elect. The point is,
wait, you running in Illinois?
I'm running in Illinois against Darren LaHood in the 16th district, Rockford, Bloomington, Peoria.
Okay.
So the U.S. has ordered all non-essential personnel out of Baghdad from the largest embassy on the planet. As you said, these travel restrictions were put in place. And don't forget, in the U.S. now, we are deploying Marines to major U.S. cities where there could be sleeper cells. I think this is all in anticipation of Israel launching an all-out strike on their nuclear facilities. And there's going to be an escalation in violence. What do you think people do in the summer? They get violent. So it's coming, and I think that Trump is going to pull Michael Corleone, and so is Benjamin Netanyahu, and they're going to cut the head of the snake, and the head of the snake is in Iran.
Okay. That was good. That was good fight. That was good. All right, pass it to OG, and I'll set the room. I'm going to play all these videos. This is crazy shit I'm seeing right now.
I think you fully underestimate the power of divine intervention. You have to go back to the Shah of Iran and back to Jimmy Carter's disappointments during a time when there was a lot of participants. Some challenges that the Mohammed thing was the Prime Minister Anwar Sadat was there. They rose up and killed Anwar Sadat. I think that was some alphabetical stuff. when they assassinated him, it was followed by Hosni Mubarak, who didn't remotely have any idea of what was to be a real peace negotiation going on. So he faded from power. When the Israelis struck Iran, it's been co-signed by the United States, etc. But on that strength, we have to understand comprehensively that Iraq, at one time, Jimmy Carter tried to land some helicopters, and they got twisted up in the dust, and multiple helicopters crashed. That was a negotiation, and they couldn't get the prisoners of war. And I think, well, at that time in the world picture, the only one they trusted to negotiate was Jesse Jackson, who went in, made an agreement to get the prisoners of war back and brought them back to America. The so-called state of Israel has never acted honorably. For instance, when Jimmy Carter appointed Andrew Young as the ambassador to the United Nations, that was a press conference, and one of the questions, what will we do in case A and case B? And he said, we haven't arrived at a decision, but whatever decision we make will be in the interest of justice and fairness for both parties, or all parties that are involved. And we said justice and fairness, the Zionists attacked him, which blew him out of office. Jimmy Carter didn't help him, we the black people didn't help him. No one could pump life back into Andrew Young as a negotiator or as an ambassador to the United Nations, specialty managing the peace agreements with the Palestinians and the Israeli at that time. And I say to you that this is not peace, this is war. And that's just some fake news that you saw when Bill O'Reilly said what a no spin zone or the buck stops here, meaning that it really actually is a spin zone, and he's going to pass the buck. And as Donald Trump, no war means war. Then you just have to use reverse psychology that he uses to figure out some of these things in the world picture. And I will let my play on the fact that justice is in the midst of, and I do support my world president, President Ibrahim Traore, and he's going across the world, bringing the right aura of social political leadership but see, we the people, they do already got the elite, those people under the protection of the certain alphabet soup, meaning FBI, CIA type, caliber Mossad, British intelligence, those caliber people are making these things happen. That's where the wars pop off behind intelligence. I'll let my play, but those are some of the facts as I know them to be, and I still say my mind.
All right, no good. All right, let me reset the room. We're talking about Israel bombs Iran, Trump versus liberal cities. There's currently federal military intervention, National Guards being, I think 5,000 National Guards was just brought to Texas. I don't know about Chicago yet, but I know Las Vegas, and currently Los Angeles. There's a huge protest. This is kind of funny though, because it's like coincidentally that this is going on in liberal cities. There's military intervention. So it's in LA, Chicago, this is liberal, Houston is liberal, Atlanta is liberal, a Democrat, and New York. So yeah, and then Israel just bombed Iran. I'll play a clip real quick, and then we're gonna discuss the geopolitical chess.
Breaking. Good evening, everyone. We have breaking news out of Iran at this moment. We're interrupting your regular scheduled programming because ABC News has learned that Israel has launched an attack on Iran, likely targeting Iran's nuclear sites. Tensions have been mounting in the region for several days. President Trump told reporters today that it could happen at any time. We want to go now to Selena Wang, who has the latest from the White House. Selena, what can you tell us? Well, Lindsay, earlier today I had asked President Trump about how imminent this Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear facility could be, and the president had told me that this could very well happen, adding that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, telling me that the U.S. would help Iran be successful in any other way in trading with the country. Now, this comes as President Trump in his second term has repeatedly stress that Iran cannot be developing a nuclear weapon, that it cannot have a nuclear weapon. This comes as his envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, is actually heading to Oman on Sunday. He's scheduled to have another round of nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran. There have been several rounds so far, Lindsay, of nuclear talks, and the president has repeatedly said that he's confident that the U.S. and Iran are getting close to a deal. But just this week, the president said that he was becoming less confident. He also told me today that if there is a strike from Israel on Iran's nuclear facilities, he was concerned that this could derail their negotiations.
Oh, really?
Ask you, Selena, what could this escalation mean potentially for those peace talks? Well, again, the president, he had actually asked Netanyahu, he said last month, not to launch this sort of strike, worried that this could harm the ongoing U.S.-Iran negotiations. The president today saying that he believes this could, quote, blow up those negotiations. Now, this also comes, though, as the U.S. has already ordered some non-essential staff to leave Iraq, and also as the administration has also authorized family members of military members to leave if they want to voluntarily leave across the Middle East. The president saying that it could become a very dangerous place, and he wanted to make sure that Americans would be safe.
All right.
So may I comment on that? Because being wrong as usual. First of all, he said he believed Trump when he said he wanted peace. What I heard that to say is Iran is not doing what Trump wants them to do, so he sicked Israel on them. Like, okay, I'm gonna sick my boy over there on you to put the heat on you because you're not doing what the fuck I want to do. Okay? Did everybody else hear that, or did everybody hear it?
He literally said his representative is going to Oman this weekend to continue negotiations with Iran. That's what the Trump administration is doing.
Wait, Trump also said. Trump also.
Thank you. That's what Trump said. You're telling me in the middle of that he's going to sanction Netanyahu to bomb Iran? That doesn't make any sense. Trump full-throatedly said he doesn't want Israel to do this. He wants an agreement. And I said he wants peace in the region, quote unquote, as according to him. I pointed to Ukraine and Russia. Same with
Why do you listen to Trump with his words when it's suitable for your argument, but you never take his word as valid when it's not? I'm confused on that.
Well, here's the thing. As Reagan said, trust but verify. So Trump's saying things, then I see what the boots on the ground are doing. He's holding talks. When he went to the Middle East, he was talking to the various countries' monarchs. He was
breaking news. Netanyahu was speaking. He is a statement right now. Five. But you know, the Panthers are Twitter. That's just on Twitter.
We're hearing a statement from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's listen to his statement from just moments ago.
Months ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. 9. In recent months, Iran has taken steps that it has never taken before, steps to weaponize this enriched uranium. And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year. This is a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival. 80 years ago, the Jewish people were the victims of a Holocaust perpetrated by the Nazi regime. Today, the Jews...
Damn, look, he still weaponizing stuff from 80 years ago, man, to justify what he finna do to them. See, man, we gotta learn from this.
The state refuses to be a victim of a nuclear Holocaust perpetrated by the Iranian regime. As Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation to develop the means to achieve that goal. Tonight, Israel backs those words with action. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program.
missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000s of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat. It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel. You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us in the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year, we struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend our Arab neighbors. They too have suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran. And I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range.
Okay, what is going on with the emojis? Oh my goodness, that is so cute. Whatever, that sounded like Donald Trump. 50 million thousand.
Hold on. I gotta keep up the room. Hold on.
Okay, this is Iran Warriors for the Pegs.
What the fuck?
And that was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu giving a statement on the airstrikes that Israel has just conducted on Iran. I want to bring in CBS News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Margaret Brennan. Margaret, I know that you are talking to your sources and gathering information. What have you learned so far?
Yes, we've been trying to communicate with sources here in the U.S. and overseas. What we know is what the Prime Minister just announced, that these were Israeli jets targeting sites within Iran that he says were related to the nuclear program that Iran has claimed for so long is entirely peaceful. U.S. intelligence has been concerned about the level of highly enriched uranium that Iran had stockpiled, but had assessed that Iran had not yet decided to pursue a weapon and that it would take some time for them to do so. In his statement there, the Prime Minister said Israel's assertion is that Iran had stockpiled enough nuclear fuel for 9 weapons and that they could build one in less than a year. He did not explain why he felt tonight was the night it had to be done that some of those targets were hit. I do want to point out that the Secretary of State Marco Rubio has released a statement making clear the United States did not provide support in terms of offensive support to this military strike. It didn't participate in it, but Israeli officials are telling me that the U.S. Was aware.
Whoa. So somebody lying.
Thank you. I was right. Exactly.